Remember, we are the media now. Hey, Linda here. And a message to State Farm. It is not okay to kill Americans. Exterminations for profit is just so neo-fascist. So I want to bring you guys up to date. My last post on LinkedIn was a request for prayers telling you that I was having a medical emergency. And the lawfare has been absolutely egregious. Shortly after I left court in April 27th, I think it was, of 2023, the day before I left court in tears. The next day, I just quietly closed up my files and I walked out and I thought, oh my God, we have lost the Republic. That was in April. Now we're in July. I seem to be facing death. Whew. Yeah, I'm a warrior. Nobody's ever prepared to die. And as I told State Farm and their preferred vendor teams, it's just a damn shame that I should be facing death because of insurance corruption, an insurer scam gone bad. You all know my story, or if you don't know my story, in a nutshell, my roof blew off February 2nd, 2019. State Farm unlawfully and illegally told me that for coverage, I had to use their preferred vendors. They sent out Paul Davis Restoration. That was sent by Contractor Connection, a Crawford company. ServPro also came out, and Paul Davis was assigned to be the general contractor. I did not know that ServPro and Contractor Connection and Paul Davis were all kind of competitors. This whole criminal caper was handled out of the State Farm, Arizona adjuster's claims office. I live in California. I would have been safer and healthier had they simply denied the claim. And so now I'm facing death. FSF. Jake from State Farm, I absolutely know what Malcolm X would call him in regards to the house that he caters to. But anyway, I'm really angry, rightly so. I mean, they destroyed my home, they poisoned me, and they covered it up. We've had multiple bad faith efforts at mediation, and the latest has just been a joke, a very, very sick joke. And in California, after reaching out to over 70 law firms, not one firm in this state would help me. Some people said things like, State Farm never settles, it's too much work. I disclosed that I have disabilities. One guy said, hey, you don't sound like you have a brain injury, but working with people with brain injuries is just too much work, it's too hard. In that court hearing in April, the judge ruled in favor of criminal lawyers. He also, when I asked questions, told me not to argue with him. And I was asking about my ADA accommodations that the former judge had granted. The new judge absolutely denied them. And he said, Miss Ayres, you just need to listen better. And I thought, is that right? This guy's a judge. He did have an apparent moment of clarity when he slapped the wrists of the attorney, the law firm that has been practicing guerrilla lawfare, age discrimination, disability discrimination with criminal threats. Okay, I don't think, I could be wrong, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think that fits the standards of professional conduct from an officer of the court. I have been cyberstalked, which began again recently. Any of you who have been following me for any length of time, you might have heard from attorney Scott Green. Several people who have commented on my blogs get emails or phone calls from him wanting to talk, and he introduces himself as a defense attorney in the Linda Ayres versus State Farm case. That really strikes me as witness intimidation. Several of those people stopped helping me. I had one attorney agree to represent me back in 2020, I think it was. 2 days later, he called me and he said, Linda, sorry, I can't represent you. And we'd signed up and everything. And I cried and I said, well, why not? And he said, well, State Farm never settles. And I remember, and he was a Marine, former Marine. And I guess I could say former Marine to him, because I said, you know, I think it's just a damn shame that not even the United States Marines will help me fight corruption. There is no reason that my home was destroyed, and there's no reason I should be fighting a diagnosis of cancer because of mycotoxins and mold contamination. Now, these boys, and I call them boys because they're apparently, you know, foot soldiers for the cartels. There is nothing legitimate about what has happened with this litigation. One of the firms has taken the lead in being, you know, chief guerrilla fixer with a level of discovery abuse that he told me, because I did not accept a claim, or because I did not accept an offer that was ridiculous. And he said it would be at my peril, and that I would learn about the procedures in the courts, because every time I made a mistake, he had a swath of paralegals ready to hit send. Every time the court granted me leave to amend the amendment, this firm would bury me in discovery. So knowing that I have a brain injury, and I think they have a background in harassment and I think psychological warfare. So the threats have been real. I have witnesses, I have affidavits, and I have people who will tell me and will tell the courts or the DOJ or the FBI what kind of conduct this guy has been participating in. Mycotoxins kill. Black mold matters. And the National Association of Public Adjusters, you guys have a big job ahead of you, because in this state and in this country, there are not enough attorneys who are oath keepers. These guys are domestic enemies if I've ever seen domestic enemies. The lies, the deceptions, the fraud on the court, on top of poisoning me and destroying my home, are absolutely unconscionable. Back in, I think it was 2019, I said to one of the adjuster managers of State Farm, I said, you know, somebody should get 7 to 10 for what you guys have done to me. You figure it out. If a roof blows off, 65% of the roof blows off during a full month of storms, multiple storms, wind, rain, and snow. It comes in from every fixture, everywhere. And then Paul Davis Restoration is acting as an unlicensed insurance adjuster. That State Farm desk adjusters and field adjusters falsely and fraudulently signed his reports as the inspecting adjuster. Okay, so they identified all the walls that were water damaged and needed to be demolished. Those walls were not all demolished. Okay. There was no chemical remediation after 40 days of category 3 water intrusion. Now, you tell me if any legitimate environmental inspection company would dare to do just 3 air samples after 40 days of Cat 3 water intrusion, if it would be legitimate for such a company, because they were asked by State Farm to provide a false mold clearance. Is that kosher? Is it okay to kill Americans to cover up crimes? They spent $101,000 covering up these crimes that are probably going to cost me my life in the not too distant future. I have to leave the country to get medical care. You would not believe what type of treatment the doctors that I have seen since May have recommended. They would make Hitler proud. Hitler would be proud of the practices for the victims of mold and mycotoxins and bacterial infections caused by insurance companies, including but not limited to State Farm and their preferred vendors. Okay, so y'all need to know what State Farm is doing in targeting America's children with their transgender fucking books. Excuse my French. Targeting little kids. What the heck is wrong with State Farm? I've been with State Farm for over 50 years. They joined the World Economic Forum in 2016, and their chairman, Mike Tipsard, who knows what kind of demon he is? He knows what kind of demon he is. So, didn't mean to get on here and rant. I wanted to let you know that, hey, I'm going to be out of the country. I don't believe that State Farm has the right to kill Americans for profit and to deny it. And I believe that the insurance company defense attorneys need investigation, even more so than what's going on in family courts, where in California, they apparently are participating in trafficking of America's children. What the hell is going on in America? FSF. FJB. This land is your land. This land is my land. I would hope that some of you who haven't said the Pledge of Allegiance for a long time might start saying it. And let's start a movement. Break out your camera. Take pictures of where you are. Our country is great. These criminals involved in killing us are not great. They're straight from hell. Hissing demons. I mean, I have been in court where some of these defense attorneys have hissed at me like demons. I had a LinkedIn account. My LinkedIn buddies prayed for me every time I went to court, and we saw miracles. The last time the defense was being, absolutely wicked, I said, look, I'm seeing a lot of doctors. Can we postpone this till after mediation? They said no. I prayed and I prayed, and there was a preacher on the court steps. I prayed and I prayed, got to court. Guess what God did? God gave that judge an emergency. And then there was an opportunity to have that hearing after our mediation of June 20th. But in true form of Guerilla Lawfare, despite my medical emergency, the court clerk, the defense attorney said, we've got mediation coming, we need to get this resolved. Now, the hearing was regarding an amended complaint that I had paid a local attorney $5,000 to do the court granted leave to amend. Not only did this guy not do the court, a law student could have done it in 6 hours. This guy didn't even touch it. His secretary clerk did it. First, she wanted to leave out half of the causes of action because she said they weren't good enough. And I said, they've already been ruled on. Leave them in. What the hell's wrong with you? They wanted to leave out the racketeering allegations. So instead, what they did is they made a few changes that threw all of my wins of the past 4 years to the wind. I told the judge the criminal conduct that this guy, the attorney that I paid $5,000 to, I looked at him and we missed deadlines. He didn't even have the right defendants' names on there. He did nothing except sabotage the work. I asked the judge for leave to, clean it up. And so the judge ruled in favor of the crooked amended complaint and did not give me leave to amend, but apparently I had some sort of a period of time that I could, ask for, that I could do all the work and then ask the judge. So I have filed complaints with the Department of Justice for civil rights complaints and violations of my ADA rights as an American citizen. And I filed complaints for the criminal threats with the FBI, bar complaints, because I know how corrupt the bar is, and those investigations are ongoing. I've been hesitant, but now I have found there's a new portal that I can make those bar complaints that will go directly to the FBI. I know we're having problems in America with DOJ and FBI, but I do believe, and I have to believe, that there are still patriots and oath keepers in the FBI and in the DOJ. Another thing you need to know about mycotoxins and mold. I did find a new group, and there's an attorney who he's a victim of mycotoxins and mold. And he introduced me to another group of attorneys that are attempting in 4 states right now to help protect America from the insurance companies and from the pharmaceutical companies and from the restoration companies that are trying to expose the dangers of mold and mycotoxins. And I'm going to learn more about them, but I signed up and, I sent them a donation because they're killing all of us. Pick your Depop operation. Okay. So I don't know. I wanted to share my screen with you. Let's see if we can do that. I don't know. Nope. Let's see. I don't know if I know how to do that. Can you see it? Probably not. Show. Let's see. Breakout room. Well, I might have to use a different app to try to share. But what I'm hoping you guys will do is, if you're not on my email list, I will be sending emails out soon and some press releases. And see my link tree for some of my interviews. I don't know how long I get to live. I really don't. I had a friend over today, and she said, "Well, let me see that." I opened up my mouth, and look at this. They call that a squamous cell carcinoma. It looks a lot like also like aspergillosis, which is also lethal. And and some of the mycotoxins are known to cause cancers. They're carcinogenic. The people in our military families are exposed to a lot of mold and mycotoxins. It's killing your kids. It's killing your families. You're going to just sit there and do nothing, or are you all going to, do your duty and honor your oath? I don't know. This is kind of a mess. My blog is still gotcontractorcomplaints.com and or gotinsurancecomplaints.com. My video channel is insurerwars.com. My link tree is lindaayres.com. And got to start a new campaign. I got to get it all moving. Then I will be in the hospital for several weeks or more. Hopefully I get to leave the hospital. But if I don't, hey, carry on, y'all.